Hello, welcome to episode 1 of the Epic Film Challenge 2.5, 100 movies you really must see before you die. Yeah, see, the following video you're about to see, the majority of this piece here that I'm posting, that I've put together, that I've edited, is a video that was recorded in July of 2016 for the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 movies you must see before you die, in which me and my fiance go through this book, watch all the films, talk about them and decide, is it a film you should see before you die, and question the title of the book. Now, Charlie Chaplin, legendary filmmaker, one of the all-time great icons of cinema. He is all over this book. He is all over the shop in 1000 movies you must see before you die, and rightfully so. You're talking about films like The Kid, like The Gold Rush, City Lights, Modern Times, Monsieur Verdot, they're all in here. And so I thought, well, let's watch The Great Dictator. One of the all-time greats itself. We sat down, we watched it, we reviewed it, and you'll hear what we're about to say in the rest of this video. And as I was posting this on YouTube, as I was about to unleash it to the world, to make the video public, to make the video live, I flicked through the book to find the exact cast list to put in the description of the video, and I realized, hang on a minute, 1940, 1940, 1941, 1939, where is it? It's not in here. Did I get the date wrong? Was it not a film made in 1940? And I realized that The Great Dictator isn't in this book. So I did a little research, and I looked at a list online that shows you every single film that has appeared in every single edition of this book. Of course, every year they add in new films, more contemporary additions to the book. They have to take some out. But in the entire run of this book's history, The Great Dictator has never appeared. And that is absolute fucking horseshit. You know a film you should see before you die? Bridesmaids. Yeah, don't watch The Great Dictator. Put that to one side. Yeah, don't worry about Charlie Chaplin's masterpiece. Watch Bridesmaids. Watch fucking women shitting in the street. That is a film you must see before you die. Oh, you wanna watch The Great Dictator, do you? No. Before you do that, make sure you prioritize Beverly Hills Cop, because that is such a more richer cinematic experience. I was going good then, I kind of went off the tracks a little bit, but you can tell how much this has enraged me. I cannot believe that a film like The Great Dictator is not considered a film you must see before you die in a book that features all of the great films that you could possibly imagine. Anything I can think of that is viewed as a classic, has won Oscars, is hailed critically around the world throughout the history of cinema for 100 years. The Great Dictator would be one of them. And they're all in there. Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, Ben-Hur, all the greats, all the giants, all the classics. Except for The Great Dictator. And I cannot fathom how this has even happened. I don't get it, I don't understand it, I don't agree with it, it's horseshit. You can take the last 4 minutes of The Great Dictator, the speech that Charlie Chaplin gives at the end of this film, one of the greatest scenes, one of the greatest monologues, one of the greatest performances in film history. You could take that out of the film, you could make that a film itself, and you could still put it in the book 1001 movies you must see before you die. You could put it in the book 100 movies you must see before you die. Dare I say it, the film itself, The Great Dictator, might even crack my own top 50 films you must see before you die. But no, they decided it wasn't worthy in this book. There we go to the people who put this list together. Thank you for the great idea for me to do this series, but it is absolutely ridiculous. It is dog shit that The Great Dictator is not included in the book. So anyway, here's the original episode 55 of the Epic Film Challenge 2. You see, it happened. I watched the film, I filmed the review, edited the review, published it on YouTube. It was up, it was live for a few seconds. That whole month-long process. And I didn't even think to check the book, because of course it was going to be in there. But it ain't, and it never has been. Wow. Holy fucking shit. Ridiculous. Preposterous. It's unthinkable, unimaginable, unspeakable that they haven't included The Great Dictator in this book. Now, I've spoiled what I think of it, because clearly I'm a big fan of it, and clearly I think it is a film you must see before you die. But for posterity's sake, we will now watch the original episode 55 of the Epic Film Challenge 2. Me and Connie, my wonderful fiance, sitting down and talking about this masterpiece. And you can enjoy it for what it was, and see the innocence in our faces as we thought we were talking about a film that was included in the book. There was a film that was considered a film you must see before you die. until I realised the harsh reality of the fact that it just wasn't good enough for Stephen J. Schneider. Mental. And for the record, this series, the Epic Film Challenge 2.5, I was planning to do this in 2 years' time when I was done with the 1,001 movies in the book to begin with. So we started early on this one, and hopefully I don't have to make a video like this again until we get to the end of this whole thing and I can start saying, well, hey, this should have been in the book, this should have been in the book. But this has to be the biggest one I could possibly imagine. Holy shit. On with the rest of the video. Okay, just before we get to the video, I just wanted to add this in here because you are about to see me and Connie talk about the film. I was just telling Connie that it's not in the book. Explained the situation to her and she said, what? And I said, yep, the Great Dictator ain't in the book. And she said, but it's the Great Dictator. And I was like, I know, right? And she said this, and I had to quote it, well, whoever made that book needs to change his life. So there you go, that's Connie's view on all this bullshit. Now on with our original video and thoughts on the film. Hello, welcome to episode 55 of the Epic Film Challenge 2,001 movies you must see before you die. The second Chaplin film in this series so far, and there'll be many more to come. The Great Dictator, which I think was one of the last big Chaplin films I hadn't seen. We watched it a week ago, and where do I even begin? It's a very interesting film, released in 1940. Chaplin plays two characters, a Jewish barber and a caricature of Hitler, basically, called Adenoid Hinkle. Like, just that alone to me is funny. Adenoid. And so he lampoons Hitler, basically, and just takes the complete piss out of him. It's a satire on Hitler and how ridiculous he is and things like that. And the Jewish barber character is a character who the film opens in World War I, and he's been thrown into the First World War. He gets injured, and for the next 20 odd years or something, he still thinks he's in World War I. He has a short-term memory, and he isn't aware of this new regime where Hinkle, or Hitler, has kind of taken over the country of Tomania, which is meant to be Germany. So Chaplin's playing around with names here and stuff, but it's basically meaning the same thing. And so we cut between this Jewish barber and Hinkle, both played by Chaplin, both different parts. And the film just goes from there, basically. You see it's like a dual kind of, it switches back and forth between the two storylines. What did you think?
It's okay. I'm kidding. I thought it was great. It had some really funny parts.
Yep.
Which, since it's so old, was original funny. But nowadays is considered cliches and comedies and stuff.
Right.
And so certain things in it, if it had been a new movie, people would be like, oh, well, we've seen that before. But back then it was like, oh, no one's probably ever done that before, the things he did.
Right.
I thought it was funny the way he did Hitler. I thought it was brave of him to do.
Yeah.
Since this was during the World War II.
It was, well...
They probably could have killed him like that for doing it, but he still did it, and that was fun.
Well, yeah, I'll intercut there because it took... Huh?
Couldn't they have done that? Just killed him?
Well, anyone can kill anyone, really.
Oh.
But I mean, but either way, it took years for him to make this film, and he did say after the film, had he known the true horrors of what went on with Hitler and the concentration camps and all of that stuff, he never would have made the film.
Oh.
It wasn't, I guess it wasn't fully public knowledge like it is now. Like, we know everything, we know all the horrific stuff that went on. That wasn't quite apparent back then, I don't think, or at least at the time that he made it. And so he said that he wouldn't have done it if he'd known that. So, throughout the film I was thinking, like, making this a comedy is a bit, but then I read that up and it makes sense, really. And it's like, I just loved how ridiculous it was, and you could almost say it's a bit racist because when Chaplin is doing his German speeches as Hinkle, it's not German. It's just he's just gibberish basically, and every now and again.
But it's funny.
It's funny, and every now and again you'll hear like little English phrases like cheese und cracker and banana and all this kind of stuff. But
banana.
But he does a great impression of Hitler's kind of very outlandish speech style. So I suppose
very angry style.
Yeah, and
aggressive.
I suppose it's more targeted at Hitler than the German people in general. But
Oh, yeah.
I loved the scale of the film. I believe he paid for all himself, and it was his most successful film as well. But I mean, the opening scene in World War One, like it's nothing like I've seen in a Chaplin film. Like it scans over these trenches, this long like tracking shot, and then you see this explosions. You see this huge, massive, gun that's just so larger than life. And then in Hinkel's palace, in his room, he has like looks like a 50-foot mural to like their version of the swastika, which is like two crosses. So yeah, again, there's no blur in the lines. There's no like, is he meaning to take up Hitler here? No, it's definitely like it's all there, all the imagery, all the mannerisms, down to the mustache, And
well, the thing is, he had that mustache before
exactly,
Hitler did.
exactly. And I'm not sure whether I don't know the history on that. Whether Hitler liked Chaplin and modeled it after him or something. Fashion, whatever. I know that Hitler had seen The Great Dictator, but it's said that history has never recorded what he thought of it. So, that's interesting. But like,
but seriously, it was fashion. Hitler was extremely fashionable. He had to stick to what was, when it came to hair and everything like that, he was a fashion geek. I mean, I've heard.
I know we're not really talking about the film now, but apparently
well, it is about Hitler.
Yeah, no, but Chaplin afterwards, he kind of became quite disturbed with the similarities between them. I think they were born a week apart.
Really?
Yeah, and two people who had very what's the word? Not harsh upbringings. Like they grew up in poverty. Hitler and Chaplin, both born around the same time. They had the similarities with the mustache and stuff, and both became these huge global icons for completely different reasons. And he became quite disturbed by that, I guess, the more he found out the similarities. But the film itself, I think, was brilliant. There's some great things in there, like just from like the sets, and there's a bit at the beginning where he's flying in a plane and it's spinning around and he's hanging off of it and stuff, and just like he plays with like models and kind of matte paintings. The film just looks great. There's loads of great moments and comedy bits. I don't want to spoil too much. There's a fantastic bit where Hinkel is kind of, and it's one of the famous scenes, he's got this big inflatable globe on his finger and he's flicking it up and stuff and just prancing around
so weird.
with this globe, but it's kind of to show that, he's just kind of giddy with glee over like dominating the world, And again, it's just basically just completely sending up how ridiculous Hitler was, for everything that he was doing.
The climbing up the curtain thing was just like,
that was a weird bit, yeah. It was a bit where he just climbs up a curtain. That was a bit odd. The globe thing I understood because the imagery with the globe and taking over the world and stuff.
Yeah.
And the scenes with the Jewish barber were interesting. There's this older kind of Jewish actor who's in the film who I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
He's in another film that I saw recently called Make Way for Tomorrow, and he was great in that too. He had a small part in that, so I was like, oh, it's the guy from Make Way for Tomorrow. Chaplin's wife comes back. She was in his previous film, Modern Times, and she's in this film again as the kind of the lead romantic. No, it's not.
That was his wife?
Yeah, think about it. It wasn't really a romantic thing with him, was it? In The Great Dictator.
Well,
no, it was
it
kind of.
There was flirting.
Yeah, it was implied. It wasn't completely, but yeah. Anyway, so his wife was in the film again, and she was good. I think I preferred her in Modern Times, but.
I thought the way he looked at her was a little too loving.
Yeah.
No, seriously, the way he looked at her was like.
Yeah.
Like.
I think they broke up shortly after the film.
Damn. Really?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was
hatred. He's had many.
Maybe
it was hatred.
It's like, I'm gonna leave you after this. I can't stand it when you talk.
One thing, and again, I mean, you just the worlds of Hinkel and the Jewish barber, who's never named. They kind of, you see both of them, and as the film progresses, they slowly get drawn together. And I liked where it ended. I liked where the story went. But for me, I have a problem with the film. Not a problem, but that's something I didn't like. This other kind of ruler comes into the picture to kind of meet with Hinkel.
The Italian.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's based off Mussolini. I don't know anything about Mussolini. I've heard the name, but I got no association, so I wouldn't have got the. I'm sure that it's the same as the Hitler kind of parodying, where this guy comes in and he's playing a parody of or satire of Mussolini. So I didn't get any of that really, but it was still quite funny, his interactions with Hinkel and stuff. But I think it went on too long. There's this food fight sequence that just. It was funny, but it felt like it was better suited to a more lowbrow comedy. Like it felt like it was better in a short or something, and also because the movie did such a good job of showing us, you know, the barber Hinkle, the barber Hinkle, and then it just suddenly went to Hinkle for ages, and it felt like there was missing a piece of the barber's story because it kind of jumps from one place to the other. And I was kind of like, oh, so you know, I guess he's done that then. You kind of miss a piece of the. It feels like there was a deleted scene now. I'm not sure if there was, but that bit to me, that part of the film felt a bit. It just didn't fit with the rest of the film in terms of the pacing. But when you get to the end, you got the great speech, you know, which is one of the great scenes that everyone talks about, and a million videos have been made of it. They put you know Hans Zimmer music over it. They put all like you know modern footage over it to make it seem appropriate to today's time.
Again, he's just got such a great voice.
Yeah.
Like he had. It's just when he talks, you just want to listen, you know?
Yeah,
But when he finally said something like that in the movie, because the other movie with the dancer...
Limelight.
Yes. Every time he spoke, almost in that movie, he said something intelligent or something for the moral or something, you know, inspiring. And then this one was a lot of comedy and...
Yeah.
Fake German and stuff like that, and when he finally said that, I was like almost drooling because you're like really into it, listening.
Yeah.
Holding your breath kind of way of talking.
Yeah, he has a captivating voice, and it's just a brilliant actor. Said it before, I'll say
and
it.
He looks into the camera.
Yeah, well, he's looking into you know to the audience, but like. I'll say it before, I'll say it again, you know, Buster Keaton to me is the better of the two when it comes to silent films, but man, Chaplin just managed to make great silent films and then just really make great sound films as well. Buster Keaton never managed to do that. Chaplin just kind of was an everyman. He could do it all, you know, he scored some of his films, he directed them, wrote them.
Comedy, serious.
Yeah, comedy, serious, you know, and obviously I always think the comedic actors probably have the best kind of range to do drama. I think it's harder to be funny sometimes. There's so many great comedy actors like Bill Murray, Jim Carrey, you know, the list goes on, who did comedies, wacky comedies. Robin Williams. And then they go and do these dramas and they're just amazing. And I feel like that might have been the same case with Chaplin a little bit. But the film is great. The speech, you can almost say, is a little bit out of place because the character of the barber who stands up and does that speech hasn't really displayed any of the kind of morals like you're saying, or there wasn't much thought there. He's just this kind of happy-go-lucky guy who gets dragged along on this whole thing, basically. So it feels out of character, to be honest with you. I don't know whether that's a criticism or not, but at the same time, once you get to the end of the film, once you get to that speech, it kind of crosses over to Chaplin talking as Chaplin, you know, and giving this grand finale to the film, which is a great message and a great speech that's delivered with such passion and fire and charisma that it kind of gets away with it, I think. Even though it doesn't fit the character of the barber that well, it kind of works when it just gets like, right, this is Chaplin just, you know, almost talking to you. Even though he kind of says that he's talking to the girl at the end, you can really take that speech, and people have. And
even 70 years later, still...
Yeah.
Like...
Scarily relevant.
Yeah, he could do the same speech today.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few lines there that don't completely fit, but I mean, for the most part,
that's why it's so popular.
It's as powerful now as it probably was back then. So yeah, The Great Dictator. It's not my favorite Chaplin film.
No.
But you know, and there was a couple of bits where I kind of thought, oh, that gag's stretching on a bit too long. But you know, really, I can't really fault it at all. Very well made, well performed. And has a few just really, like the globe scene and the speech at the end, I think are two amazing scenes for very different reasons. And again, bold of Chaplin to really just target Hitler like this, and kind of an important film for that as well, I think.
I think my favourite part was when he climbed up the curtain.
Really?
No.
I was going to say, because you didn't like that.
No, it was just so off-putting, it was so weird that I really ended up liking it.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was,
but it was like... I think around that time I was getting really, really tired.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of late.
Yeah.
And it definitely woke me up. I was like, did that just happen or did I sleep? Did I dream it? You know, it was so weird. It was like so out of place. It just happened.
I love his idea, or his presentation of kind of, I guess, the idea that Hitler was just sitting around in this palace, kind of doing nothing of any relevance, you know, just playing a bit of piano, you know, just all these little things that, you know, it's like imagining what Hitler actually gets up to in his spare time, you know, just ridiculous stuff. And there's some other great smaller like supporting characters in the film as well. It's great. Is it a film you must see before you die? Absolutely, for the speech alone. But otherwise, it's a great blend of comedy and drama, and satire as well. And how are you?
I agree.
You agree? Okay, there we go. Nothing much more to say, I guess. The Great Dictator. Very good. Thanks for watching.
Und